This is Rock and Roll English. Real people, real English. Here's your host, Martin Johnston.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Rock and Roll English. Episode number 125, baby. Oh yeah. And what a surprise I have for you today. I mean, you've probably guessed it from the title. The title does kind of give it away a little bit, doesn't it? But it is true, baby. Dan the man is back. Fucking hell. Just take a minute to calm yourself down. Okay, have you done that? Okay, perfect. Why did Dan the man go away? You will find out in today's podcast. One thing I want to say though very quickly is, although Dan the man is back, it won't go back to just me and Dan doing the podcast, because what if he disappears again? What if he dies? You know, obviously I hope he doesn't, but what if he does? I will be on my own again. But as I said, I hope he doesn't die. He will still be on the podcast, probably more than anyone else. Well, definitely. But we still need Boom Boom Cannon to be sensible and make good decisions. We still need Clarification Charlie representing the girls and keeping us boys in order. We still need Corporal Coma as well, just so he can give some competition to Dan the man about the most boring person on the podcast. And there is even one more person that I want to recruit for the podcast, okay? Anyway, that's enough of that. I imagine you're desperate to hear Dan's voice, so I'm going to stop talking and you can listen to me and Dan. Happy listening. Dan the man, how are you today?
I'm good, how are you?
Always fantastic, Dan. Always fantastic. Even more fantastic that you are finally back. There's been a lot of mystery surrounding your disappearance. Rock and roll vocabulary. Disappearance, obviously quite easy what it means. The noun of disappear. Anyway, that's enough of that. People were thinking, has he died? Has he been abducted by aliens?
Oh, no.
Is he living as a monk?
No, that would be the dream, though.
You know what? That's exactly what I thought, because you are the type of strange person that would do that. Remember, if you don't know what a monk is, what is a monk? The guy that sort of hangs around the church quite a lot, I suppose, no?
Oh, I thought you meant like a Buddhist monk. That would be cool.
To be honest, I'm not very well informed about monks.
Actually, there is I don't know what you would call it, a monkery? I don't know. But like
a monkery?
I don't know.
Isn't it called a monastery?
I don't know, but anyway, it's just a place where monks collect, and it's near here, and basically you can go there, and it's like a week-long retreat where it's a silence retreat where no one can say anything for a week, but you have to pay €800 for it.
Welcome back, Dan the man, is all I'm going to say about that response. Dan the man's talking to us about living as a monk, staying in silence, and calling it a monkery.
Yeah,
okay.
I haven't done that. Just to clarify.
Sure,
but
sure you haven't.
Yeah.
Sure you haven't. Anyway, obviously, all of the mystery about your disappearance will be revealed in this episode. But Dan, I know you've been away for a long time. How do we start the show?
I presume with a review.
Yep, nothing's changed. Always the same, Dan. Always the same. Nothing has changed here, okay? Yes, with a review. And to be honest, I've been avoiding reviews with your name in because, it's a bit embarrassing. But,
have there been many?
Really talk. Oh, there's been loads. But I wanted just to sort of keep up the myth that maybe you were dead or something like that. Okay. But so here's one. I don't think I've read this anyway. It's from Karine Charpentier. Again, I apologise if that's not correct. And it says, listening to Martin and Dan's podcast is like being a fly on the wall, catching two friends, fun and sharp conversation, but with a bonus, vocabulary and grammar explanations by a proper English teacher, Martin, and a well-spoken person, Dan. I immediately thought, am I not well-spoken?
Hang on, is that all I am as well? Well-spoken?
I don't know. Well, she continues, actually. Also called Dictionary Dan. So you're not just well-spoken, you're also Dictionary Dan.
Also a nerd.
Exactly. And then it says, on top of being helpful and efficient, this podcast always puts a smile on my face and makes me feel very good and joyful. I strongly recommend it. Thank you, Dan and Martin, for your talent.
Dan and Martin?
And your hard work. Yeah, fucking hell, I didn't even notice that. Dan and Martin, your name before me. Jesus Christ. Anyway, so the secret is here. Why did Dan disappear? Basically because we fucking had a massive argument, didn't we, Dan?
Mm-hmm. Which lasted a long time.
Lasted a long time. I was thinking about this actually, and I remembered that when we were in our 20s, about the same time, like 23, 24, we also had an argument and stopped talking. I think it was about a game of Pro Evolution Soccer last time.
Almost certainly, yeah.
So it's happened in our 20s, it's happened in our 30s. I'm hoping by the time we get to our 40s, we would have grown out of it by then. Rock and roll vocabulary. What does it mean, grown out of it, Dan?
Stop doing it.
Yeah, basically to get too old for it and just think, should we be doing that anymore? What do you think, Dan? Will it happen?
I think the odds are quite high that we will argue again.
Exactly. A lovely expression there. The odds are high. It means it's very probable. I was also thinking about it from our teenage years. Did we stop talking to each other in our teenage years? And I think I basically just avoided you because you weren't really cool enough. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I just sort of stopped talking to you. I would talk to you in secret sometimes, like when no one else was looking.
Yeah, I think so. I was, I think a loser is the kindest term I could use for myself in high school, isn't it?
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. Yeah, that's the kindest word. Just remember, so he wants to live as a monk. Yeah. Okay, this is the type of stuff that he wants to do. And the thing is, he wanted to do that even when he was 13 as well. All the rest of us were, doing stuff that 13-year-olds do. And Dan was living as a monk. Yeah,
away from society. I'm sure I've told this story before, but I remember when I was 16, 17 in school, in sixth form, and I heard...
People don't know what sixth form is, Dan, okay? People outside the world, or not outside the world, sorry, outside of Britain. It's like the years you do in school between 16 and 18, which Dan quit, by the way, if I remember. Didn't you, Dan? Because you are a quitter in life,
to become a monk. But yeah, so anyway, I remember hearing my name in the communal area, and your ears sort of perk up, and I thought, oh, someone's talking about me. And then I heard someone say, "Who's that?"
So this is after you've been at school for 5-6 years, yeah, and they still didn't know who you were. You made a big impact in that school then, Dan.
Big time.
You did use some rock and roll vocabulary there, though, when you said your ears sort of perk up. Basically, your ears just start listening, basically. Anyway, yeah, so we did argue. We did stop talking to each other, but we got in contact again recently. A few messages going back and forth, all sort of quite nice stuff. And then I just said, Dan, this is enough. I love you. Okay.
Yeah, you did actually say that as well.
This is enough. Let's not waste any more time. Okay. I hate myself for it. I hate myself for the fact that I do love you. I've got no idea why, but unfortunately I do. I know my life would be better without you, but there's just something I just can't live without you. I don't know why.
Raw attraction.
Raw attraction. You are quite sexy these days, Dan. Much sexier than you used to be, certainly when we were 13.
Thank you, Martin.
I think it's those big muscles that you have now. But this is what sets this podcast apart from the others, Dan. Okay? When I say it sets it apart, it makes it different. It makes it better. It's real, baby. Real friendships, real life. And as the American person says at the beginning, real English, baby.
Yeah.
How inspiring was that, Dan? I feel like almost, I suppose, like Martin Luther King did after he did that speech of, I have a dream now.
Yeah, I think you're right. Although I was hoping you would do it in an American accent.
I'm not doing that. But you have to draw the line somewhere. Rock and roll vocabulary again there. So you have to say that's enough. Anyway, so Dan, you've obviously been away for a while. We want to know some stuff about you. Okay, the first question I've got. Mrs. Dan the man. Has she left you yet?
No, she's still hanging around.
Oh, God, what is she doing? I was thinking about her and I was thinking, she's a lovely girl. I want to tell her, look, leave him now.
Because
otherwise you'll be in the same situation as me in 20 years when, one, you realise he's a bastard, and two, you won't be able to leave him. I've tried to leave him. It didn't work. So leave him now.
Yeah.
Leave him now when you still can. Get out now.
Can you imagine if she hears this and takes you up on that? And next week, I have to say, yeah, she dumped me.
Admittedly, I would probably feel a little bit bad in that situation. But at the same time, I would think she's made the right choice.
Yeah. I think you're right.
Absolutely right. And Dan the Man again used some rock and roll vocabulary there when he said dumped. What's dumped? Dictionary, Dan.
When she stops going out of me. Not that she will, but I'm saying hypothetically, if she wanted to.
And as well, it's not, that word isn't just for you, Dan. That's a general thing, isn't it? Because I said, what does dumped mean? You said when she stops going out with me.
This is a direct message to Mrs. Dan the Man. Please don't dump me.
Oh, fantastic. How much we've missed you, Dan. Second question on everyone's lips. Some rock and roll vocabulary there. On everyone's lips that everyone wants to ask is, are you still a freelance human being?
I am, and the pay is terrible.
Still going strong, though, okay? This is a message for all the other freelance human beings out there.
Are there many?
You know, I don't know how many there are, but, you know, you are the leader of that group anyway, Dan.
Yeah, it's a pathetic bunch, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you on that. It is a pathetic bunch. But at least you're the leader, Dan. At least you're the leader. Okay?
There's always that.
Anyway, that's enough about your life because, I mean, no one's that interested. Okay, we're a little bit, but we're not that interested. Notice how I emphasise that word, Dan. We're not that interested. Rock and roll pronunciation there, baby. Anyway, obviously, I think it goes without saying, some more rock and roll vocabulary, it goes without saying, it's obvious that I've missed you, Dan, okay? That we've all missed you, okay? So I wanted to talk about just missing people, okay, in today's podcast. Ways to miss people. I know it sounds strange, but there are some strange articles on the internet that tell you how to miss people. One of them says, express yourself and accept unpleasant feelings and feel free to cry.
Did you cry?
I want to ask you, Dan, how many times you cried.
I'm actually incapable of crying. I have no tear ducts.
But tear ducts, what are tear ducts? I actually don't know.
You serious?
Yeah, what are they? Well, I'd imagine something where tears come out of.
Your tears come out the ducts in your eye. DUCTS.
Oh, I thought you were talking like a duck, you know, like a duck that you see in a lake.
Fucking hell. Yes, ducks. It's those sort of ducks, Martin. Yeah, you're right.
But so you're incapable of crying?
Unfortunately, yeah.
Unfortunately. Because I was imagining you looking at a picture of me and just sobbing your heart out. So it's a rock and roll vocabulary there, sobbing. That's when you cry a lot.
Well, firstly, I don't have a picture of you. But what I do have is your David Beckham beach towel. And I was actually at one point considering burning it.
You know what? I was thinking about that towel because I've had that towel a fucking long time, nearly as long as I've known you. And I was thinking, I fucking really want that towel back. Is it acceptable to send him a message and say, I know we're not talking, but can I have my David Beckham beach towel back?
I don't know what I would have done. I would obviously never would have burnt it, but I've definitely wiped my arse with it a few times.
That's fine. I don't care as long as I get that towel back. Okay, I fucking love it. It was very much like a sort of ex-girlfriend situation, though. Like when a picture of you would appear on Facebook or something like this, and I would look at you, and you were smiling. I was thinking, how can he be happy without me? He should just be sad every minute of the day.
I was smiling for you, knowing you'd be watching.
Yeah, well, believe me, it was fucking terrible. I thought, how dare he smile, the bastard. So another one here is to find activities that will occupy your mind, okay? We know that you love new activities, so what new activities have you got going on, except becoming a monk?
Well, I've started doing yoga.
Oh, here we are. Mrs. Dan the Man is actually a yoga teacher, isn't she, Dan?
Yeah, so I might as well capitalise on that, free yoga lessons.
That's all part of being a freelance human being. You can't be a freelance human being without doing yoga. You have to do some of this wishy-washy stuff. I called it in a recent podcast, actually, recent family podcast, where it's sort of like not concrete, all of that meditation, yoga. You can call it maybe a bit wishy-washy.
Yeah, and piano. I'm doing piano now.
I don't think piano's wishy-washy. Piano's concrete, isn't it? Solid.
Yeah. Although there are cats on YouTube that I think can play better than me. So
Well, those cats have obviously got talent, like the ducks that are in your eyes, Dan.
Exactly.
One of the things on this article, it said new activities. It said like reading books, surfing the internet. And first of all, I thought, are they really new activities? And secondly, I thought of this word surfing the internet because in any English language textbook, they always say surf the internet. No one said that word since about 1995.
What, surf?
Surf the internet. Do you just say use the internet?
I mean, I don't really know. I don't really talk to many people, so...
You're a monk.
Yeah, I'm a monk.
You're a monk.
Yeah. Hey, but going back to new activities, what have you, since you missed me so much, did you take up, embroidery or something?
Some rock and roll vocabulary there. So he said, did you take up? So that's when you start a new activity. Embroidery, I don't even fully know what that is. That's like sewing, isn't it?
I think so.
Something like that, yeah. I've started being more positive, Dan, okay, is what my new activity is, okay? Because there was so much negativity in my head about sort of missing you. I thought I need some positivity. Now that you're back, I can go back to being completely negative all the time.
That's fantastic.
Okay?
Lucky me.
Exactly. Another thing here is see someone new, okay? So I'm going to have to ask you this, Dan. Please don't tell me you have made any new friends in this time. If you have, it's over, Dan. Our relationship is over if you've made a new friend.
I actually have made some new friends.
Oh no, this really hurts, Dan. You're hitting me where it.
I had to move on, Martin. I couldn't wait for you.
Rock and roll vocabulary there, though. He said I had to move on. Like we use this exactly in this situation when you lose someone, but you have to go ahead with your life. You have to move on.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, I went hiking with one of them. It was fantastic.
Oh, that really hurts, Dan. But hiking, some rock and roll vocabulary. Generally, we use that like when you basically walk up a mountain, no?
Yeah, exactly. In fact, actually, it was in the Pyrenees, which is near where I live. And on the way there, because there was 4 of us, he turned around in the car and very, very casually said to me, "How are you with bears?" And
fantastic. I love spending time with bears.
And I said... I can't remember what I said, but I said, why? And he goes, there's bears in the area now. And I said, but he said it casually and then carried on driving. I was like, sorry, hang on.
Let's turn back. Yeah. Let's go home.
Yeah. What bears? He goes, brown bears. Okay. Like 6 foot, 250 kilo brown bears. And he said that basically the region we were going in, there was 40 of them. And obviously people were going crazy in the area because... obviously, they're killing sheep, they're killing horses and all this sort of stuff. And so there was 39, but there was 2 isolated bears on their own. So the French government, in their wisdom, decided to import another bear from, I think it was Slovenia. And there was all these...
What, to like kill the other bears? Like to have like a bear fight?
No. To fuck. To breed.
To fuck.
Yeah.
So eloquently described there. What was the review saying? Dan's a well-spoken man and just said to fuck.
Yeah.
He then did actually use a different word, which is actually some rock and roll vocabulary, to breed. That's what animals do when they fuck, basically.
Exactly. But anyway, there was all these barricades and people were blocking the roads because they didn't want this bear to come in. The farmers had their guns out. They didn't want this bear and everything. So the French government, anticipating this, brought it in by helicopter just over the barricades and just dumped it in the mountains.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, this is why we missed you, Dan. Stories about bears, fucking, all of this, absolute gold.
Have you made any friends?
New friends, no. Strengthened relationships with other friends, yes. Clarification, Charlie, Corporal Coma, Boom Boom Cannon, yeah, all of the other people on the podcast, okay, all of which are much funnier than you. They don't talk about monks. They don't talk about bears fucking. Okay.
So listen, I in the time we weren't speaking, I didn't listen to any podcasts. It was almost like listening to your ex have sex, and I wasn't interested. Okay, but
sure, good choice. I wouldn't have listened either.
I did once, and I think it was Coma. And I remember I listened to 5 minutes of it, and it was a story of you being sick on his face. Why was he wearing glasses in bed?
Because he wanted to see his dreams clearer. Just so everyone knows, though, Dan the Man and Corporal Coma obviously went to school together, just like we all did, and Boom Boom with secondary school, didn't we, Dan? Yeah, exactly. Anyway, next time we're all together, Dan, ask Corporal Coma, okay? I don't know why he was wearing his glasses. He says he wasn't, but believe me,
I don't think I ever saw him without his glasses, so...
Exactly. But I was thinking about this new friend, and as I was saying earlier when I was looking at pictures of you, if I had seen a picture of you with another friend, I would have died, Dan. There's some rocking conditional there. What conditional is it, Dan?
So it's, I would say it's third.
Oh, this is what he's been doing in this time. He's been studying grammar. Okay, that's the first time you've ever got that right.
No,
so
I've got it right before, surely.
Have you? And another thing it says here is to not stalk that person on social media. Obviously, the person that you're missing. And I was thinking about this. So I was stalking you, I'll fully admit, but you're too much of a mystery man, Dan. You don't post anything on social media. So it was difficult. But I remember I did an Instagram story and I saw that you saw the story and I thought, oh, he's interested. And then basically every story I did after that, you didn't see the story. And I thought, he's obviously lost interest.
Look, it's not that. On Instagram, it automatically plays the next story. And then I saw your face, and I immediately
switched
off. I thought,
off.
fuck, he's going to think now that I've chosen to look at his story. So I unfollowed Rock and Roll English, so that could never happen again.
Good choice.
Yeah.
Good choice. I would have done the same, Dan. Okay, and it's exactly what this article says.
We're talking about not posting. I mean, I don't post anything because I don't think my life's worth posting about, but Mrs. Dan the Man.
To be honest, though, I'll have to interrupt you there. Before I did Rock and Roll English, I never posted anything either. I just post stuff for Rock and Roll English. I never post anything on my personal Facebook.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah. You're as boring as me, so I can believe that. But Mrs. Dan the Man always posts.
And she loves
it.
In fact, that's how I found stuff out about you, Dan.
Yeah, like
via Mrs.
Walking
Dan
along the street. Should we get a selfie? No. But then I get forced to have a selfie. And she negotiates with me to have selfies. For example, if I want to watch a film, she might say...
It will cost you 2 selfies.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's always difficult when someone asks you for a selfie. It's difficult to say no, isn't it?
Yeah, because I've got this... Yeah, I just don't feel comfortable. Because... Yeah. But she loves it. She absolutely loves it. So it's...
I think that's a sign of our age, Dan. Okay, we're mid-30s now. Okay, but just know, Dan, if you ever ask me for a selfie, I'm definitely going to say no.
Hang on,
I will feel comfortable saying no.
I've been with you on holiday in places, and you've asked for photos.
Oh, that is absolute bollocks. So remember, bollocks is when it's just not true. I've never said to you, "Let's take a selfie."
Okay, well, you definitely have said. Once when we were in, I think it was Favignana, and
which is an island near Sicily for people that don't know.
You asked me, which I did, to take a picture of you coming out the sea. I don't know if you thought you were James Bond or whatever it was, but
I've got a picture of you coming out the sea.
I was coming.
You've got that story completely wrong.
The difference is, I'm just coming out the sea. You've staged it. You've said, take a picture of me coming out the sea.
You know what? I think I've still got those pictures. If I didn't delete them in one of those sort of moments when I was missing you, and I've only got one of you coming out of the sea. So. This story, I think you've got completely wrong.
You took a picture of me coming out the sea, and then you thought, I want a picture like that. So we had to stage the event until we looked like 2 guys on a beach taking pictures of each other coming out the water.
I don't think that story's true, okay? But this is why you're on the podcast, Dan, okay? To make up ridiculous stories that aren't true, okay? I just want to underline the fact that I've never said to Dan, take a picture of me.
Okay. Well, we'll let the listeners judge that for themselves.
I'm going to try and find that picture of you coming out of the sea. And to be fair, it's a great picture because you've got a great body. I've just got a very skinny body and very hairy body. No one wants to see a picture of me coming out of the sea. Believe me.
I'm going to try and find it. But like you, I think I may have deleted a lot.
Fantastic. Okay, Dan. Well, I'm sure we'll see you again very soon.
All right. Speak to you later.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye. Wow. Did you enjoy that? I hope so. This is obviously the part where I explain the rock and roll vocabulary. Normally I do this, but Dan the Man edited today's podcast and sent me the list of the rock and roll vocabulary. The only problem is he didn't send me any context. He just sent me the word, so I can't remember the context. He's been back 5 minutes in the podcast and he's already driving me crazy. But I love it, okay? I need someone to drive me crazy, and Dan the Man is the right man for the job. Anyway, we use the word disappearance, which is obviously the noun of the word disappear. You know that, I know that, but I'm just reminding you. We had the term the odds are high. I can't remember why, but if the odds are high, it means there's a very high probability. Odds are the things that when you bet, they tell you what the possibility of that happening is. For example, the odds of winning the lottery are like 10 million to 1. Those are the odds. We had the term ears perk up. So when your ears perk up, it's when you start listening. We also had the term goes without saying. I can't remember why again, because Dan didn't send me the context. But if you say it goes without saying, it means it's obvious. Then Dan used the term tear ducts. Ducts or ducks? I've never heard about that, so probably just leave that one. It's not very important. But then again, I do have the vocabulary of a 5-year-old. We had the term wishy-washy when we were talking about yoga, I think. So things like this, yoga, meditation, we can describe as wishy-washy. I then asked Dan if he had taken up a new hobby, new activity, and that's a phrasal verb we use exactly for that. When you start a new hobby, new activity, you can say, I've taken up running. I don't know, I've taken up playing the piano, like Dan the Man. I told Dan as well I had to move on with my life. So when you move on, it's when you go ahead. And then we had a lovely verb, actually, which not many people know, to breed. I think it was one of Dan's boring stories. I can't remember. So when animals breed, it's when they basically have sex and then they have babies, let's say. See, I described that in a much nicer way than Dan did. Anyway, all of this rock and roll vocabulary will be on the website. Go there, use it, play with it, have fun. I will see you all again next week with Dan the Man. But in the meantime, just be happy that the Rock and Roll English team is now complete with Dan the Man back. Have a great week, people. I will see you next week. In the meantime, though, just keep on rocking, baby.
Thanks so much for listening to Rock and Roll English. For more great content and to stay up to date, visit rockandrollenglish.com and facebook.com/rockandrollenglish. We'll catch you next time.